Good evening, students. How are you guys? So we are into guys second last session of this chapter 4, that is audit evidence. So as you already know that we have understood the meaning of audit evidence in context of SA 500. We have understood what does sufficient appropriate audit evidence mean. We have also learned meaning of reliable and relevant audit evidence. And we have learned about various audit procedures, risk assessment procedures, further audit procedures, consisting of tests of controls and substantive procedures. We have also learned that substantive procedures can be further divided into tests of details and substantive analytical procedures. Besides, we have learned finer points of some essays, that is essay 501, which dealt with three things, that is existence and condition of inventories, litigations and claims involving the entity, segment information. And thereafter, we did essay 505 relating to external confirmations, essay 510 relating to initial audit engagements, opening balances. And we also did essay 520 analytical procedures, essay 530 relating to audit sampling. So today we shall be trying to cover rather two standards on auditing. These standards on auditing are essay 550, which is related parties, and essay 610 using the work of internal auditors. So students, first of all, we shall be taking up essay 610 using the work of internal auditors. So for this essay, first of all, you have to understand the meaning of internal audit or internal auditor, or you can say internal audit function. So tell me, students, what is your viewpoint of an internal audit? What this function is supposed to do? Who is an internal auditor? Probably you have got some idea. There was a passing reference to it, probably in chapter 1, or you may have read about it in your Companies Act. Yes. Anyone who can tell from their knowledge, from their knowing, what do we mean by internal auditor? No, Sanatan, yes, you are writing about essay 530. You have to remember the different terms, technical terms, and obviously it is a slightly technical essay. There are a lot of terms, so you have to read it twice, thrice, and remember the things. It will take time to get assimilated. Yes. Pranav, you are writing the person who reviews the internal affairs of the company. Yes, on the right track. Internal audit, Pallavi is writing internal audit means checking the details by internal management. Okay, little bit off the track. Yes, Tejaswin is writing about certain conditions. B. Kiran Kumar and Deepak. Yes, Kiran Kumar, you are also on the right track. Yes, and Deepak is also writing rightly. And others, Sanya, Vaishali, you are also trying to give a right perspective. So, guys, you have understood correctly that internal auditor, first of all, as the name suggests, always remember that internal auditor does not express an opinion on the financial statements of the company. That is the job of external auditor, or you can say statutory auditor. Okay. So what does he basically do? Internal auditor basically uh, assesses, he basically evaluates the governance of the entity, the risk management system of the entity, and the internal control procedures, the internal control processes, and he also recommends improvement to all these things. So that is part of the internal audit function. Okay. Now you would see what is corporate governance. Corporate governance means, oh sorry, or what is governance, or in case of companies, you can say corporate governance. So how an entity or how a company is being governed. Okay, what are its values? What is its communication processes? So all these things form part of corporate, or form part of governance process of the company. And what is risk management system? Say there are many business risks. So an entity and organization has to take into account those business risks and develop a strategy to counter those risks. Okay, so that it can survive in the competitive business environment. Okay. Uh, Hello. Yes, guys, you are able to hear me? Yes, you are able to hear me, guys?
Ye-
Confirm that I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ajit. So, so students, the internal auditor, he assesses risk management system and suggests improvements to those systems. Okay. And his third job is to evaluate, to examine the internal control systems which have been devised by the organization, by the entity, by the company, and he sees whether such systems are being followed, and what is the scope of improvement to such processes, to such procedures. Okay. So like the internal auditor may be asked to review financial information. He may be asked to review operating activities. He may be asked to review compliance with the laws and regulations. Like an entity may be uh, required to comply with many laws, because it is in business, it is in industry, so many laws are applicable to it. So it is part of the internal audit function to review compliance of various laws and regulations by the organization. It falls within the scope of internal audit function. Clear, guys? So tell me one more thing, guys. Is it necessary that an internal auditor should be employee of a company? Yes. Anyone? Yes, Sanatan, you are saying it is necessary. Yes. Any other opinion? Yes. Any other viewpoint? Sanatan is saying that it is necessary he should be employee of the company. Yes. Any other contrary viewpoint, guys? Yes. Kiran Kumar, you are saying he may or may not be. Tejaswin, you are saying because if he is not employee, he will be an external auditor and he can give opinion on financial statements. No, guys. Guys, you need to have clarity here regarding internal audit function. So, Kiran Kumar is right. So, guys, you have to understand, although this function is internal to the company, but the internal auditor may not necessarily be employee of the company. Like, I'll give you an example. Suppose there is a firm of chartered accountants, okay, and it is rendering internal audit services to the company. So the company is getting internal audit services from the firm of chartered accountants or from a chartered accountant. Clear? So the company would be paying fees for carrying out this type of work, this sort of internal audit work, or it can be that there is an internal auditor who is on the payrolls of the company. So both the situations can be there. So even when the company is getting internal audit services from a outside chartered accountant who is not on the payrolls of the company, remember that he won't be able to express opinion on the financial statements. He can't sign the financial statements. Okay, it is expressly barred under Companies Act also. So is this point clear to you guys? And for the sake of your knowledge, I am also telling you, even although otherwise this thing falls under your Companies Act, under your company law paper, still because we are going through the topic of internal audit. So I shall give a passing reference to the law provision of Companies Act 2013 in this regard, although it is not in your module. Just for the purpose of giving you a clarity. So Section 138 of Companies Act, remember, you might be reading in your company law classes. Section 138 of Companies Act deals with internal auditor, with the appointment of internal auditor in context of companies. And as far as companies are concerned, it clearly states that certain companies So there are rules prescribed which class of companies are required to appoint internal auditor. So certain companies are required to appoint internal auditor depending upon some criteria. Okay. So and the law provisions rules clearly state that internal auditor may be employee of the company or he may not be employee of the company, and he can be a chartered accountant, a cost accountant, or any other professional as may be decided by the board. Okay, so this is the broad outview. So remember that the domain of internal auditor is quite wide. Okay, it is not necessary that he has to be a chartered accountant by qualification. He can be some other professional also. So students, you get an overview of the work performed by internal auditor. And always remember, yes, Tambeshwari, you can interact on Zoom later on, and chat facility would remain disabled on Zoom. Okay. Yes, Kiran Kumar, yes. Banks are appointing internal auditors. Societies are also appointing internal auditors. So, like Kiran Kumar has rightly stated, has rightly written, that suppose in case of banks also there are internal auditor employees who are employees of the bank, or they may be or this function may be outsourced to a firm of chartered accountants who would be sitting there in the branch for a certain number of days and carrying out internal audit. Okay. And one of the most important functions of internal auditor is to get the things corrected, get the things rectified. Obviously, he doesn't stop at fault finding. Okay, so he makes recommendation for improvement in the system, and he also actively sees what follow-up action has been taken on his reports. So internal auditor basically gives reports to the management, to the organization regarding what are his observation in relation to scope of work performed by him. And in bigger companies, there is a full-fledged internal audit department who is which is headed by a chief internal auditor. Okay, and it is adequately staffed. There may be certain number of people who would be assisting chief internal auditor. Okay. Yes, Anuradha Kumari, this is precisely what we are discussing. So probably you have joined late. So you can see the recorded version later on if you have joined late. We have precisely discussed about the functions of internal auditors. So I would once again make a quick recap of the functions of internal auditors, that they evaluate, they assess internal control procedures, internal control systems of the company. They recommend improvements to the internal control procedures, internal control systems. They assess risk management system of the company and recommend improvements. And they also review corporate governance. Okay, so the overall governance, the overall manner in which a company is being run. Okay, so the internal auditor may be asked to review all those things to all the functions. Okay. Yes, yes, Kiran Kumar, you are right. Yes, Anuradha. So you have got a gist overview of the functions of internal auditor. Like suppose in case of a manufacturing company, he would be looking after where, suppose I give you an example. Um, the management has fixed certain norms for sale of scrap, or the management has fixed norms, certain standards regarding wastage in case of in manufacturing activities. So obviously he would be reporting all these things, whether procedures in this regard are being followed or not, or what are deviations. So this is such things are part of the internal audit work. And he gives his report maybe at monthly intervals or maybe at quarterly intervals, depending upon scope of work assigned to him. Clear, guys? So this broad perspective, students, you have to keep in mind. Now we come to essay 610, using the work of internal auditors. Now, whenever there is an internal audit function in an organization, so the external auditor, he may decide to use the work of internal auditor in certain aspects. He may decide to use the work of internal auditor. It is not necessary for him, although, but it is his choice. If he thinks that it would be suitable for him to use the work of internal auditor, and he chooses to use his work on to use the work of internal auditor, then this standard on auditing applies. Then this SA 610 applies. Yes, yes, Tejaswin, you are right. So always remember this, that it is not that whenever there is internal audit function, whenever there is internal audit department, this SA 610 would apply. No, no, this is not the case. SA 610 would apply only when the auditor has decided to use the work of internal audit for the purpose of obtaining audit evidence. Okay, is that clear? And one more important thing you have to remember, that whenever the external auditor uses the work of internal auditor, his responsibility in expressing opinion on financial statements is not in any way reduced. It is not diminished in any manner. Here, so he remains solely responsible for the expression of opinion on financial statements. So these two are basic things, guys. So what we have discussed right now, these are basic things to make you your fundamentals clear. Such things would help you in answering MCQs and in answering case study based questions. So guys, you have to build your concepts this way to have to first of all have a clarity what this thing is all about. Okay. So the external auditor can use the work of internal auditor in two ways. Now, one is by use of his work, by making use of work of internal auditor. And second is direct assistance of internal auditor. Under his direction, supervision and review. So these are the two ways in which he can use the work of internal auditors. Okay. So we shall be discussing both these things in detail. Now let us go to your module to see what is there. So first there is meaning of internal audit function. Okay. So this is this is all what we have discussed recently. Activities relating to governance, activities relating to risk management, activities relating to internal control, evaluation of internal control, examination of financial and operating information, review of operating activities, review of compliance with laws. Okay. So ways in which external auditor may make use of internal audit function for the purpose of audit, that is for the purpose of external audit. So one thing is that he would obtain information that is relevant to external auditors assessment of the risk of material misstatement, and he may decide to use work that has been performed by the internal audit function in partial substitution of audit evidence to be obtained directly by external auditor. So what does this mean? Like say if the company is having a full-fledged internal audit department and internal auditor is performing certain procedures, say which are similar to those which would be performed by the external auditor, so then external auditor may choose to rely in part on some of the work done by external auditor. So this is what basically this SA 610 is telling you. Okay. Like say internal auditor would be in process of testing controls, because it is part of his job. It falls within scope of his work to carry out a review of internal control processes and internal control procedures. So how one would be carrying out a review of internal control processes or internal control procedures? Obviously he would be performing tests of controls. So these are nothing but similar to what would be performed by an external auditor. So if internal auditor is has performed those things, so external auditor can choose to rely upon the work of internal auditors. Yes. Yes. And Ritika, you are stating, can internal auditor and external auditor be from same firm? No, no, they can't be from same firm. No, no. So suppose there is a firm XYZ and company. So you are trying to say the external auditor is XYZ and company, and Mr. X is signing the financial statements, and another partner is internal auditor. No, no, it can't be that way. The whole firm is not, cannot sign, or any partner of it cannot sign on the financial statements. It is a disqualification. They can't render internal audit services. Yes, Ritika, is it clear to you? It can be some another firm. Yes, Sanatan, you are stating, what is the distinguishing point between internal control and internal audit? Yes, that's a good question. So, internal control, you can say, internal control is a quite wide term. It covers every aspect of the functioning of an organization, of the functioning of an entity. Because without internal control procedures, without internal control systems, without internal control processes, no business can be efficiently run. There would be errors, there would be frauds, and the organization, the entity would not be able to meet its organizational objectives. Okay. And what is internal audit? Internal audit is part of this, is again part of this system to review the internal controls. So internal control is a quite wide term, and it includes each and every aspect of the business of an organization. Okay. Yes, Sanatan, is it clear to you? Yes, Tejaswin, you are saying this is to be done in such a way that auditor do not compromise the audit plan and strategy. Yes, yes. So we are coming to this, Tejaswin. Yes, Sanatan, is it clear to you? And another thing is that external auditor may require internal auditor to perform audit procedures under direct supervision and review of the external auditor. So this is called as direct assistance, where the external auditor asks the internal auditor to help him in performing certain audit procedures. Okay. Yes, Tejaswin, you are saying, explain internal check. Well, internal check is again sub part of internal control, where you can say, work of somebody, some one person is checked by another. Okay. So scope of SA 610. So SA 610 basically deals with the responsibilities of external auditor when using the work of internal auditors. So we have learned it includes two things. First is using the work of internal audit function in obtaining audit evidence. So I am external auditor. There is an internal audit department. I have chosen to rely upon the work of internal audit function. I have chosen to rely upon the work of internal auditor. So I will be able, I will try to obtain audit evidence by going through the reports of the internal auditor, by going through the work performed by the internal auditor. Okay. Like say, the internal auditor also may have been part of the entity's physical verification of property, plant and equipment. So if internal auditor is giving certain observation in his report regarding that, so that becomes an important piece of document for me. That becomes an important audit evidence for me. Clear, guys? And second is, as we have been discussing, when I ask internal auditor to perform certain procedures under my direct control, under my direct supervision. Okay, so these are the two ways, basic two legs upon which SA 610 stands. So always remember these two basic points. Yes. And Depali, you are saying we can say that internal auditor and external auditor related to each other. Not related, you can say, but they have to coordinate. Coordination between internal auditor and external auditor is necessary. Okay. So, as I have already told you that ultimate responsibility for expression of opinion on financial statement remains with the external auditor. He can't later on say, look, I have relied upon the work of internal auditor, so what I can do. Okay. So ultimate responsibility, sole responsibility for the audit opinion expressed remains with the external auditor, whether he relies upon the work of internal auditor or not. Okay. So guys, before an internal auditor, before an external auditor makes a decision to use the work of internal audit function, to make use of internal auditor's work for the purpose of obtaining audit evidence, then he has to see three things. One is objectivity and organizational status of internal audit function. And second is competence. And third is whether work, internal audit work, is performed in a systematic and disciplined approach. Now we shall uh, understand all these things one by one. Yes, Sanya, you are stating what is meaning of partial substitution. Partial substitution, Sanya, means like the auditor has to perform audit procedures for obtaining audit evidence. So some of the procedures may not be performed by him, and he may choose to rely upon the work of internal auditor in this regard. So he would be obtaining audit evidence through the work of internal auditor. That is the meaning of partial substitution. Obviously, he would not be omitting, he can't omit all of his procedures. Something he would be doing. Otherwise, what is his what is the logic of external auditor? If he were to rely totally on the work of internal auditor, so he has also a responsibility, like we have just studied, that ultimate responsibility for the expression of opinion remains on the shoulders of external auditor. He can't say that I have gone through the work of internal auditor and everything is hunky and dory, everything is okay. So this is the meaning of partial substitution, that some of the procedures which he was expected to perform, he may not perform, and he may choose to rely upon the procedures performed by internal auditor. Yes, Sanya, is it clear to you? Yes, Sanya, is it clear to you? Please drop a mail. Yes. So guys, before an external auditor chooses to rely upon the work of internal auditor, so he has to see these three things. One is objectivity and organizational status of internal audit function, competence of internal audit function, and three, whether the internal audit function is performing a systematic and disciplined approach. So what is objectivity and organizational status of internal audit function? So like this simply means like what kind of authority internal audit function has, or the internal auditor has. Like say, if the internal auditor is reporting to those persons whose work he is checking, okay, then he is not suitably placed in the organizational structure of the company, in the organizational structure of the entity. Obviously, he would be reporting to the higher echelons, okay, or say in case of listed companies, to the audit committee. Okay, this you would be reading in your Companies Act. So the point is that internal audit function has to be structured in such a way that it gives weight to the observations, to the reports of the internal auditor, and these such reports and work performed by the internal auditor is taken seriously. Okay. Is it clear, guys? Objectivity means without any bias. You already know. Without any bias, that although he is internal to the company, but still he has to give his report. He has to make his observation by keeping aloof himself from from pulls and pressures. He has to report facts as they are. This would happen only if if other people in the organization, they know that the internal auditor, that the chief internal auditor or internal audit department, it has got a certain clout in the organization and his observations are being taken seriously. Okay. Yes, guys, clear? And competence means um, the ability of somebody to perform some work um, in a professional manner effectively, you can say. Okay. So it would be known from the type of work which he is doing, the type of procedures which he is performing, and whether he is a professional, what are his qualifications. Okay, so these all things would form competence, and whether proper staff is provided to him, whether the internal audit function is adequately staffed. Say if in case of listed company, one person won't be able to handle all these things. Obviously, he needs to be adequately staffed by support persons. Okay. And whether internal audit work is being performed in a systematic and disciplined approach. So what is the approach of the internal auditor in carrying out his work? Whether whether he performs audit procedures and he keeps documentation of the same. What are the records he is keeping? And see, guys, internal auditor would also be performing some of the procedures which external auditor would be performing. Procedures are similar in nature. Okay. Like he would also be inspecting, he would also be observing. Procedures are similar in nature. The point for external auditor to see, to gain to be able to gain reliance on the internal audit work is to see whether the work is being performed in a systematic and disciplined manner. If this is the case, then he would certainly be placing his reliance on the work performed by internal auditor. Yes, guys, all the three points are clear to you. Yes, Tejaswin, you are also right. Yes, Tejaswin, you are asking, tell what is the meaning of quality control procedures? So it simply means that whatever work internal auditor is performing, it is up to a certain standard. It is up to certain benchmarks. Like I have told you that adequate documentation is being kept. Records are being kept when the work was performed, at which date, and how the work was performed. Are Are these records being kept in a detailed manner? So this is also one part of quality control. So now let us see what is your module saying. So first point is objectivity and organizational status. So objectivity refers to, again, I have told you already in a simple common sense point of view. So this is textbook language. Objectivity refers to the ability to perform those tasks without allowing bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others to override professional judgments. Okay, same thing we have discussed. So organizational status we have discussed. Whether internal audit function is free of any conflicting responsibilities, like like any operational duties. Look, the internal auditor would be asked to review operational activities. But if you ask him to be involved in operational activities itself, then it would be a conflict of interest. Then how one can review one's own activities? No, Sanatan, he can't do so. He can't do so. Clear, guys? So competence means that he should have knowledge and skills which are required for that function, like to act as an internal auditor of say a large company. That chap has to have some good years of experience. It is a responsible position. Okay. So all these things, whether internal audit function is adequately and appropriately resourced, whether there are established policies for hiring, training, and assigning internal auditors. So big companies have their own programs of training and constantly updating internal auditors, how they can make value addition to the organizational objectives. Okay. Whether internal auditors have adequate technical training and proficiency in auditing, because by definition, by their very name, they are auditors, although they are internal auditors. But their procedures, the things they do, they are similar to in nature of what is being performed by external auditors. Okay. Whether internal auditors possess the required knowledge relating to entities' financial reporting framework. So obviously, that is an important part. So how financial reporting is to be done, unless internal auditors are well aware of the relevant laws, of the reporting requirements of the applicable financial reporting framework. So they won't be able to do justice to scope of their work. Yes. And Sanya, you are saying explain meaning of point 2 in objectivity. Whether those charged with governance oversee employment decisions relating to the internal audit function. So it basically means, like I've been telling you, that internal auditor should not be subordinate to some person whose work he is checking. Okay. So like like say some person in the finance department, some higher official in finance department, if he is responsible for fixing the remuneration of internal auditor, then what is his objectivity left? So obviously such things would be away from these people. These should lie with the higher echelons of management. Okay. Yes, Sanya, is it clear to you? So the more the internal audit functions support the objectivity of internal auditor, the greater would be the chance, the greater would be the degree of reliance which the external auditor can make on the use of work of internal auditors. Okay. So application of a systematic and disciplined approach. This I have already discussed. The existence, adequacy, and use of documented internal procedures. Documented internal audit procedures. So how the internal auditor is going about his work? This is for the external auditor to see. Okay. Yes, guys, am I audible? Yes, Tambeshwari, constraints or restrictions mean it means certain kind of limitations. Constraint means certain kind of limitations. So if all these three things, which we have discussed, if these are not satisfied, or if external auditor determines that these are not up to the mark, then he may decide not to use the work of internal auditor. So SA 610 states that if the function of the organizational status, if the functions, organizational status, and relevant policies do not support the objectivity of internal auditors, if the external auditor feels that the objectivity of internal auditors is impaired, or if he feels that the internal auditor lacks sufficient competence, like he is not technically qualified, like if he doesn't have adequate experience, or like he doesn't have adequate staff, or if he feels that the work performed by internal auditor doesn't follow a systematic and disciplined approach, he doesn't keep adequate record, he doesn't keep adequate documentation, then the in such circumstances, in either of these circumstances, internal audit function should not be used by external auditor to obtain audit evidence. Okay. Yes. Yes, students, is it clear to you? Yes, and Ritika, you are asking, there is a word continuum in objectivity and competence. So where it is? Yes. So objectivity and competence may be viewed as a continuum. It simply means that continuum means things that move along. Okay. Like if the objectivity of internal auditor is there, okay, then it both the things support each other. Both the things move along, which keep on going. So the internal auditors uh, work, internal audit function can be used by the external auditor for say testing the operating effectiveness of controls. We have discussed already, like internal auditor has already performed tests of controls, or certain substantive procedures like say performing tests of details. The internal auditor has kept a record that I had say verified expenses of this month or from this period to that period. Okay, so he has already performed some substantive procedures. So auditor may not choose to again perform those procedures. He may just simply rely upon them, involving limited judgment. Now this word is very important. Limited judgment. What is limited judgment? Limited judgment means like where no greater amount of thought or greater amount of discretion is required. Or like the of the kind which I have given you the example, like verifying expenses bills. So a limited judgment is required. But say in case of valuation of something, or choosing method of valuation, or making certain provisions, okay, some greater judgment is required. Okay, so obviously those areas in which greater judgment is required, the auditor the external auditor would be well advised not to rely upon the work of internal auditor in those areas where greater judgment is required. So this is an important point, and you should always keep it in mind. So it is explained below that in following areas, the external auditor shall perform more of the work directly, and he shall not rely upon the work of internal auditors in these areas where more judgment is involved. Okay. So the more judgment is involved in planning and performing relevant audit procedures. So which procedures are to be performed? It can't be left to the internal auditor, or it can't be left to the work of internal auditor, or evaluating the audit evidence gathered. So whatever evidence the auditor has obtained, it has to be assessed. So this evaluation purpose, assessment of something, forms the crux, forms the basis on which auditor's opinion is given. So this evaluation part is always done by the external auditor. Okay. Or if there are some significant risks pertaining to some assertion, there is a higher risk of material misstatement, then also in those cases, internal auditor work shall not be relied upon, and auditor shall perform those procedures directly. Okay. And last of the 2 points, these are self-explanatory, that if the competence is relatively lower, then obviously he shall not rely, he shall or his competence level is low. Okay. So if the external auditor has planned to use the work of internal audit function, so he shall discuss the planned use of its work with the function. He shall read the reports of internal audit function, as I have been telling you. That is most important part, reading the internal auditor's report and performing sufficient audit procedures on the body of work of internal audit. So like you have gone through the internal audit report of say quarter of the internal auditor. So obviously to gain reliance, you would be test checking 2-3 things of the work performed by internal auditor. So that you gain a trust, you gain a reliability that the work on which I am going to pose trust is in fact reliable. So these 3 points external auditor has to keep in mind. Yes, clear. And Ritika, probably you are asking this point whether internal auditor and external auditor are related in some way. So I told you that not related, but there has to be discussion, healthy discussion and coordination with the internal auditor to achieve effective results. Okay. So obviously, external auditor and internal auditor, they would be having they should have regular interactions. Okay. They should have meetings, and there should be a process of coordination between internal auditor and external auditor. So like discussions take place at appropriate intervals throughout the period. The external auditor informs the internal audit function of significant matters that may affect the function. The external auditor is advised and has access to relevant reports of internal audit function and is informed of any significant matters that come to the attention of the function when such matters may affect the work of external auditors. So this is only possible when they have a proper system of coordination between them. Okay, only both the functions should complement each other. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Now, second part which we had learnt is at the beginning is direct assistance of the internal auditor under his direction, under the direction, supervision, and review of external auditor. Now, what is direct assistance? What is direct assistance? So, SA 610 states that direct assistance refers to the use of internal auditors to perform audit procedures under the direction, supervision, and review of the external auditor. So remember these 3 words. So while learning this SA 610, remember these 3 words by heart. These are the 3 key words: direction, supervision, and review. Okay. So it simply means that external auditor now wants internal auditor to actually perform certain procedures, to actually help him by performing certain procedures um, under his control. That look, Mr. X is internal auditor and I am external auditor. So I would want Mr. X to perform certain audit procedures under my control, under my supervision. Okay. Like there can be a few logics about it, because internal auditor is also a qualified person. Okay, he is having sufficient experience. He is having technical knowledge also. So he can be an asset to the external auditors in obtaining audit evidence. If he performs certain audit procedures, quality can also increase. Okay. But there is a taboo, there is a caveat. Caveat means that external auditor shall not use internal auditor to provide direct assistance in the following circumstances. Like in those areas which involve making significant judgments in the audit. Okay. So like say, for example, the external auditor is verifying assertions relating to valuation of trade receivables. He wants to know whether this valuation is proper or not, whether the allowance made by management is proper or not. So this work involves significant judgment. It is not a routine type of work. So he should not involve he should not involve internal auditor. He should not obtain his direct assistance in performing such type of work. Okay. Yes, Sanatan, you are asking why direct assistance is prohibited. So, Sanatan, you have to understand that essays have been framed keeping in view, keeping in mind a very broad view. So they use such language that where it is not prohibited by law, because law can prohibit anything. It falls within the domain of the legislature. It falls in the domain of the parliament to make laws. So essays normally do not override laws. So you would find this written in standards on auditing everywhere. Yes. Yes, Sanatan, is it clear to you? Like there may be country specific laws, there may be jurisdiction specific laws. Yes, Sanatan, is it clear? Or where such things relate to higher assessed risks of material misstatements, or where the judgment required in performing the relevant audit procedures or evaluating the audit evidence gathered is more than limited. So where more judgment is required, same thing. And where such procedures relate to the work which have already been performed by internal auditors and reported to the management. by the internal audit function. So there is no fun in performing those procedures again by taking the help of internal auditor. Okay. And students, two more things you have to remember, that when an external auditor uses direct assistance of internal audit function, then he has to take two precautions. Number one, obtain the concurrence of management. Okay, obviously, the internal audit function is internal to the organization. So obviously, have to uh, you would have to inform the management that you are using their internal auditor to perform certain audit procedures directly under your supervision. Okay. And the second thing is agreement with the internal auditor to keep the things confidential. Confidentiality agreement. So 2 points. Number one, obtain written agreement from the entity that internal auditors will be allowed to follow external auditor instructions and the entity will not intervene in the work of internal auditor. So you are informing them to say that, look, we are using your internal auditor to provide us direct assistance in our external audit work, and you will not the entity will not intervene in the work of internal auditor, which is being performed on behalf of external auditor. Okay. And second is obtain written agreement from the internal auditors that they will keep confidential specific matters as instructed by the external auditor and inform the external auditor of any threat to their objectivity. So this is the most important thing, because now internal auditor is performing certain procedures in the shoes of external auditor, although these are under his direct control and supervision. So therefore, it is necessary to obtain a written agreement from internal auditors that they will keep the matters confidential, because external auditor has to keep whatever comes to his knowledge by performing audit work. He has to keep these things confidential. Okay, so this you would be reading in your last chapter on ethics, that confidentiality is one of the fundamental principles governing ethics. This you would be reading in your chapter 11. So this is the logic behind confidentiality. Yes, guys, is 610 clear to you? Yes, any query on 610? Yes, Ayaz. Hello, Ayaz. Yes, Ayaz, can you hear me? Ayaz, जरा अनम्यूट कर दो स्टूडेंट्स को. Yes, guys, you have query on essay 610. You can ask on Zoom. Yes, anyone?
Sir, I'm
Yes,
audible?
yes. Yes, Tambeshwari. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. सर मेरे को ये लिमिटेड जजमेंट वाला सब्सटेंटिव प्रोसीजर का समझ में नहीं आया सर.
हाँ, तांबेश्वरी, ऐसा है, जो एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर है वो इंटरनल ऑडिटर के वर्क को यूज कर सकता है जो उसने सब्सटेंटिव प्रोसीजर्स परफॉर्म किए होंगे. सब्सटेंटिव प्रोसीजर क्या होते हैं? किसी चीज को मान लीजिए, जैसे एग्जांपल है, बिल से अकाउंट एंट्री को चेक करना, ये भी एक टाइप का सब्सटेंटिव प्रोसीजर है. तो
यस सर.
ऑब्वियसली इंटरनल ऑडिटर ने अपना अपना काम करते समय ये ऐसे प्रोसीजर्स परफॉर्म किए होंगे. ठीक है.
राइट सर.
तो जो प्रोसीजर्स में लिमिटेड जजमेंट है, उसका इंटरनल एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर ऐसे प्रोसीजर्स का जो इंटरनल ऑडिटर ने काम किया है उस पे ट्रस्ट कर सकता है. ठीक है. और
यस सर.
जिनमें ज्यादा जजमेंट इन्वॉल्व है वो प्रोसीजर्स वो डायरेक्टली करेगा, जैसे मैंने आपको वैल्यूएशन का एग्जांपल बताया, ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स का. यस, तांबेश्वरी, क्लियर है आपको?
यस सर, मतलब कि सर जो आपने वैल्यूएशन सर्टेन मतलब कि सर्टेन वैल्यूएशन करता है तो जो ज्यादा जजमेंट होगा तो वो
हाँ,
रिलायबल नहीं होगा.
मतलब उसमें उसको इंटरनल ऑडिट के फंक्शन पे रिलाय नहीं करना जिसमें
यस सर.
ज्यादा जजमेंट इन्वॉल्व है. रूटीन के जो प्रोसीजर्स हैं उस पे उसको उस पे जो इंटरनल ऑडिटर ने वर्क किया है उस पे वो रिलाय कर सकता है.
यस सर. हाँ, समझ
यस.
आ गया.
ठीक है.
थैंक यू सर.
यस. यस, हार्दिक.
Sir, good evening, sir.
यस, हार्दिक.
Sir, one small clarification I need. Sir, those who are in charge of governance are board of directors and audit committee or management or all of three.
There is a subtle distinction in all these, and this topic would be coming up in your chapter 7. There is a complete essay on this. Okay. So you leave it till then.
Because sir,
For
in chapter 2 also in
for
some.
the yes, for the time being, you can understand that it refers to management. So when this chapter comes, chapter 7, then we will discuss these things.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Anybody else? Yes, Ritika.
सर आपने बताया था ना ऑब्जेक्टिविटी एंड कॉम्पिटेंस में भी व्यूड वाले में कि डिग्री ऑफ रिलायंस ज्यादा होगा, तो उसमें आप क्या बताए थे इंटरनल ऑडिटर का
नहीं,
किस
देखिए,
चीज पे
इसमें
डिग्री?
तीन चीजें हैं. एक तो है ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्टेटस और ऑब्जेक्टिविटी. ठीक है. ऑब्जेक्टिविटी से आप क्या समझते हैं? ऑब्जेक्टिविटी मीन्स कि
विदाउट बायस.
कोई आदमी डिसीजन ले सकता है, रिपोर्टिंग करेगा विदाउट बायस, विदाउट एनी इन्फ्लुएंस. तो उसका अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्टेटस अगर लोअर होगा, अगर वो उन्हीं लोगों को रिपोर्ट कर रहा है जिनका काम वो चेक कर रहा है, ठीक है, तो उसके डिसीजंस में, उसकी रिपोर्टिंग में ऑब्जेक्टिविटी क्या रहेगी? नहीं रहेगी ना।
यस सर, नहीं रहेगी।
नहीं रहेगी। तो लेकिन अगर वो टॉप मैनेजमेंट को डायरेक्टली रिपोर्ट कर रहा है, उन लोगों को रिपोर्ट कर रहा है जो मान लीजिए फाइनेंस फंक्शन से कनेक्टेड नहीं है, तो उसकी ऑब्जेक्टिविटी रहेगी।
यस
तो
सर,
जिन
बहुत
जिन
रहेगी।
लोगों का काम वो रिपोर्ट कर रहा है उनको भी रहेगा कि ये टॉप मैनेजमेंट को रिपोर्ट कर रहा है, इस आदमी के पास अथॉरिटी है।
यस सर, तो रिलायंस ज्यादा होगा
हाँ।
एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर का टू
हाँ।
इंटरनल ऑडिटर।
हाँ।
सर समझ गए, थैंक यू।
ठीक है। यस। एनीबॉडी एल्स? So therefore, guys, we shall take a short break of 5-7 minutes, and we shall be back after 5-7 minutes. Yes, Ayaz, break for 5-7 minutes. Yes, welcome back, students. So, students, now we shall learn about SA 550, that is related parties. Yes, Tambeshwari, you are stating SA 550 like AS 18. Yes, obviously, AS 18 is an accounting standard relating to related party disclosures, and SA 550 relates to auditors' responsibilities. Okay. And Tambeshwari, you are asking what is difference between inter-firm and intra-firm? Inter-firm means comparison between two firms, between two organizations. And intra means within one company, within one firm. So when we use the word inter, it means between two things. And when we use the word intra, it means within that one thing. Yes, Tambeshwari, is it clear to you? So SA 550 deals with auditors' responsibilities when conducting audit of financial statements for two aspects. Number one, identifying related party relationships, and number two, identifying related party transactions. So yes, guys, I presume that you understand the meaning of related parties. So write in your mail what do we mean by related parties? Just from your knowledge, not technical definition. Yes. What do we mean by related parties? And why it is important to identify related party relationships and related party transactions? Say, guys, if you understand this much, then all the responsibilities of the auditor would come to you naturally, would flow to you logically. You would not need to cram the things. Yes, Sanatan, you are saying means somehow related to other party, but what does this mean in substance? So it basically means that some party, some entity is being controlled by some other, or it has control over some other, or it exercises some influence, some significant influence over other, or some significant influence is being exercised over it due to certain factors, due to certain reasons, like uh, like like there may be common management, like there may be common shareholding, like one entity may be holding certain shares in another entity, so that it is in a position to exercise control or influence over that other entity. No, नितिन, पार्टी से लेन देन नहीं है खाली ये. No, no, it is not party से लेन देन. Do not take it as that simple. Like, say, very simple example. Suppose Mr. X is director of a company. Okay. he is also director in another company. He is director and shareholder in company XY Limited. He is also director and shareholder in BY company. Okay. So where there is a common management, where there is a common shareholding, where one entity is able to exercise control over another. Okay. So such type of relationships are called as related party relationships. Okay. Yes, Dilip, you are stating related parties may influence transaction price volume. Yes, right. We'll be coming to this in a little bit from now. So it is important for an auditor. It is responsibility of an auditor to identify related party relationships and related party transactions while performing an audit of financial statements. Okay. So related parties, the meaning of related party may be given in applicable financial reporting framework. Like say in case of company, there is a definition of related parties under Companies Act 2013. Okay. What is meant by related parties? Or if the applicable financial reporting framework does not define related party, or it provides only a minimum bare reference to related party, doesn't give an elaborate meaning and elaborate definition of related parties, then related party mean a person or other entity that has control or significant influence directly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries over the reporting entity. Okay, either it exercises direct control or direct significant influence, or through some other intermediaries, through some layers, through some other companies. Okay. Or another entity over which the reporting entity has control or significant influence. Other way around, that there is some organization, some entity over which this entity of which you are the auditor, it exercises control or significant influence. Or there is a common control, like common controlling ownership, owners who are close family members, common key management, like the kind of example I've given to you. But the entities which are under the control of government, like under the control of, say, central government or state government, they are not related parties unless they engage in significant transactions or share resources to a great significant extent. So for your point of view, for your common point of view, you can understand that such entities which are owned by the state, which are owned by the government, unless they share resources to a great significant extent, they are not related parties. Okay. So, and what is the meaning of control and significant influence in reference to related parties? So, control means that I am able to control, or I am able to govern the financial policies of another entity, financial and operating policies, how that company is going to be operated, how its finances are to be managed. I have power to control it. Okay, this is the meaning of control. And another term is significant influence. So significant influence means that although I do not have power to control, but I have power to participate in such financial and operating policies. That I have power to participate in financial and operating decisions. But it is not control. So it is a tab lower than control. But still it is a significant influence. Okay. Like holding shares in another company, okay, being a close member of one person, close family members, common key management. So these are examples of control and significance in relation to related parties. So guys, before we proceed further, tell me whether related parties are a relationships and related party transactions are a bad thing, are a bad thing totally? Are they to be frowned upon? Are such relationships illegal? Why we are studying this? Why you have studied AS 18, or why we are studying SA 515 auditing? Yes. Yes, Ritika, just write something about it. So when you write, Ritika, it gives you it enhances your knowledge. Yes, B. Kiran Kumar, yes, you are right. They are not bad, but regulations restrict these transactions to arm's length price. Yes, definitely right. So the basic thing is that look, the law may not bar related party transactions. Say, like there are two companies, they may be related parties, but they may be engaging in commercial transactions. It is perfectly all right. But the point is that these should be commercial transactions. These should be carried out in the same manner as these would have been carried out by the company with the third parties with whom they are not related. Okay, like say um, a company has made certain sales to a related party company. Okay, then if the sales are made at the same price on the same terms and conditions as with third parties, then it is okay. Okay, so or it could be the case that certain transactions have been made with related parties which do not exist. There is a possibility also that these may be paper transactions only, like sales. Actual movement of goods may not have taken place, but sales have been booked. So that is why we say that there is a risk of higher material misstatement in related party transactions. Yes, all of you are writing correctly. There is a greater chances of risk of material misstatement. Yes, Dilip, you are also writing correctly, that to make sure that such relationships are not misused. So this fundamental point you have to keep in mind, that in a business, in a commercial environment, there would indeed be related party relationships and there would indeed be related party transactions. Okay, so the point is, from the auditor's perspective, is that such relationships are identified and auditor makes it sure to see that such relationships and transactions entered into with related parties are disclosed in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Yes, clear, guys? So many related party transactions are in the normal course of business. These are in the normal course of business. In such circumstances, they may carry no higher risk of material misstatements than similar transactions with unrelated parties. So this is the fundamental thing, fundamental concept. Keep in mind. However, nature of related party transaction may in some circumstances give rise to risk of higher material misstatements than transactions with unrelated parties. Okay, because two related parties, they may collude together and some expenditure or income may be booked using by making use of related party transactions, or some funds may be transferred to related parties. So students, one more thing in respect of related parties is that why it becomes important for an auditor to identify related party relationships, because all related party relationships may not come to the knowledge of auditor completely. Okay, because such transactions may be layered through many companies and the auditor may not be in a position to identify such complex transactions. Or the control systems, information systems of the company which capture financial information, they have not been designed in such a way, they are ineffective in identifying such related party relationships and related party transactions. Okay. And third is, related party transactions may not be conducted under normal market terms and conditions. For example, some related party transactions may be conducted with no exchange or consideration. As I've been telling you, like sales have in fact not taken place, but sales between two related parties may be booked. Or purchases between two related parties, two companies which are in the nature of related parties, they may not have been may not have taken place, but these have been booked. Just paper bills are there, but actual movement of goods is not there. Clear, guys? So what audit procedures shall auditor perform to fulfill his responsibilities in relation to related parties? Yes. Tell me from your own mind. Which audit procedures the auditor shall perform in line with his responsibilities under SA 550? Think from your common sense point of view. No, substantive procedures, Pranav, you are saying which procedures? Write those procedures. So if I ask from you those steps, those things, suppose you are the auditor of a company, and how you would identify the related party relationships or related party transactions? What you would do basically? Yes, yes, inspection. Yes, inspecting some documents. Dilip, that's true. Yes, inquiry, Vaishnavi. Yes, you are right. First and foremost thing is inquiry. Students, how you can forget inquiry? कुछ और याद ना आए तो इंक्वायरी always keep in mind inquiry. We sometimes we forget these simple words, so always remember the term inquiry. It is an audit procedure. Remember at the outset of chapter 4 we had learnt about inquiry. So the auditor shall inquire of management. Yes, Kiran Kumar, yes, you are also right. Yes, Kiran, are you into some job? Are you doing some job, or you don't seem to be solely a CA student? Yes. So the auditor shall inquire of management regarding identity of the entities related parties, nature of relationships. One is he would make the inquiry, and second is what kind of relationship is there between these two parties. Okay, and the transactions, whether the entity has entered into transactions with the other party. Okay, and the responsibility of auditor is to see whether such transactions and relationships are disclosed in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework, and whether such transactions are authorized and approved by the entity. Okay. Okay, Kiran Kumar, that's great. In last session, I remember there were many retired bankers there, and we also had one serving chief internal auditor of a public sector bank in our last batch, a lady chief internal auditor. Okay. And so students, Then comes the basic question, as Kiran Kumar has correctly written, how to find out related parties. So what an auditor can do practically? Okay, like this question is given here: to see entities' income tax returns, to see information supplied by the company to the regulatory authorities, to examine the shareholders register. So all these are inspecting the documents. So because in the income tax returns also shareholders information would be given, and in the shareholders registers, members register, there would also be um, information relating to the shareholders. Okay. Contracts and agreements with key management or those charged with governance. Okay. So if the company has entered into some arrangement, some contracts with say directors, so you would be having a look at them and see whether these are appropriately disclosed. So such kind of things. Specific invoices and correspondence from the entity's professional advisors, internal auditors report. Now you can correlate it with the internal audit function also. So it might be that internal auditor has commented in his reports on some related party transactions. So that can also become a piece of evidence. That can also become a piece of evidence for the auditor. Clear, guys? So, and one more point is there, considerations specific to smaller entities by the auditor. See, students, in smaller companies, there is no, or in smaller organizations, there is no proper distinction between the say owner and manager. There is no clear-cut demarcation of responsibilities, and there is no formal control system. So controls also work in an informal way. Okay. So in smaller entities, um, this can work in both ways. It can lead to increase in risks also, and it can reduce risk also, because that person is controlling all the things. It can cut both ways. Okay. So this much you have to understand. So this related parties SA 550, only this much overview is there at your intermediate level. So you have to understand that auditor's responsibility in relation to related parties pertain to identification of related party relationships and transactions, and he has to perform audit procedures so that he is in a position to identify related party relationships and transactions, and he has a responsibility to see that these transactions are disclosed appropriately in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework, and these are approved in accordance with the law if so required. Okay. So guys, now we shall try to do some questions. See question number 4. Yes, what should be the answer? A company has stipulated a control through its automated software that interest at 12% per annum is charged in case of those customers who fail to make payment within a month of a sales transaction. The internal auditor of the company finds during a certain period software has failed to charge interest due to certain technical issues. Does reporting of above situation fall in domain of internal auditor's work? Question regarding scope of internal audit function. Yes, without seeing the answer, students write what should be the proper answer to it. Yes, Kiran Kumar, yes, he has to report. Pranav, you are saying reporting of above falls in domain. Yes, as the responsibility of internal auditor is to check the operating effectiveness of controls. Yes, this is his primary responsibility. So while learning about scope of internal audit function, we had understood that it is part of internal auditor's responsibility to evaluate internal control procedures, internal control processes, internal control systems, and to recommend improvements there too also. Okay. Yes, Sanya, you are also right. So guys, when you write in the paper, I know you are writing right now in a haste. Obviously, you are not in the same frame of mind as you would be in your exams. But still, I am telling you, uh, just write, make it a habit to write proper words. Like Sanatan, for example, you have stated that yes, it falls because effectiveness of internal control is one of the key objectives of internal auditor. So you would frame it in such a way that evaluating effectiveness of internal controls is one of the primary um, functions of internal audit, or it falls in the scope of internal auditor's work. So internal auditor is, always remember, internal auditor is not himself carrying out operating activities. Again, this is a fine point of distinction. I think Kiran Kumar ji, you would agree with this, because you are a retired banker. So if internal auditor, if he himself is involved in daily activities, how he can make a check? So he reviews the operating activities, and he evaluates the internal control procedures. Yes, Sanatan, have you got it? So while writing for auditing paper, remember certain words: assess, evaluate. So you can always use these words. Sometimes while writing your answers, you just go blank. You just do not know what to write. So at least keep a stock of some 15, 20 important terms, important words which you can join to make sentences. Yeah, yes, precisely, Sanatan. This is what I'm trying to say. That when you would write in your paper, you would forget. This is precisely I am trying to hammer it into your minds. That keep in your mind that evaluation is a word, assess is a word which can be used in writing answers specifically in auditing paper. Like an auditor evaluates audit evidence. So when an auditor obtains audit evidence, then he, and it is on the basis of evaluation he draws conclusion, and it is on the basis of conclusion he makes opinion. Yes, clear, yes. Test your understanding 5. CA Sukesh is external auditor of an entity. He comes to know that there is also an internal auditor in the entity. However, he finds that internal auditor is not reporting directly to higher echelons of management. CA Sukesh has also assessed risk of material misstatement to be high. Discuss whether it would be proper for CA Sukesh to rely upon work of internal auditor extensively in the above situation. The situation is given to you. Now tell me whether in such work CA external auditor should rely upon the work of internal auditor. Yes, yes, Dilip, you are right. He can't rely upon. It won't be appropriate because uh, because given the situation, his organizational status is not proper. He is not reporting to the higher echelons of management. So therefore, he won't be in a position to take objective to report objectively. His objectivity would be impaired. Okay. And also there is higher risk of material misstatement. Yes, Tambeshwari, you are right. Yes, Kiran Kumar ji, you have also given a practical aspect to this. Yes, test your understanding 6, guys. An auditor, while conducting audit of an entity, has selected samples based upon his personal experience and knowledge. Later on, it turns out that selected samples were not representative. The auditor contends that samples were selected based upon his personal experience and knowledge. Can auditor escape from responsibility? Yes. Yes, what should be the answer to this? Yes, guys. No, yes, auditor cannot escape responsibility. Although he has selected samples on his personal experience and knowledge, he has followed a non-statistical approach to sampling, but it is his responsibility to see that samples are truly representative and are free from bias. Okay. Yes, Deepak BS, you are also writing correctly. Test your understanding 5. Yes, all other have also given answers on right lines. This one we had already done probably. Yes, see question number, test your understanding 8. Test your understanding 8. Now, this again is a combination of some of your internal audit knowledge and some of external confirmations. Yes. Test your understanding 8. Yes, students, fairly direct question. It is not that ticklish as you are thinking. No, no, Sanya, you are completely off the track. Yes, yes. So it is fairly, guys, a direct application of SA 505. Tell me what is the meaning of external confirmation as per SA 505? So the question is talking about sending external confirmation requests. Okay. So we had learned in SA 505 that external confirmations are these are an audit evidence obtained as a direct response by the auditor from a confirming party, from a third party. in written medium, electronic medium, or some other medium. Now here what the auditor is doing, he has delegated the process of choosing trade receivables to the internal auditor. He has delegated this responsibility that you choose the persons to whom external confirmation request is to be sent. You design the request and you receive the response from customers on your mail ID, on internal audit department's mail ID. Now where is the now what the statutory auditor is doing then? Obviously, this work involves designing requests and receiving response directly by the statutory auditor. So in accordance with SA 505, he has to obtain audit evidence directly, not on the mail ID of internal auditor. No, Ritika, where does the question of valuation comes? Where does the question of valuation come? See, the question is about sending external confirmation requests. So whenever external confirmation request is to be sent, SA 505 should come to your mind naturally. Now, what is the meaning of external confirmation as per SA 505? Correlated with that. And if you are correlating it with SA 610 also, then can statutory auditor allow the internal auditor to receive the responses directly on his mail ID, on the internal auditor's mail ID? This would be totally in violation of SA 505. So CA Jignesh approach is not proper. He is wrong, Tambeshwari. Yes, Nitin, you are asking what is the difference between positive confirmation request and external confirmation request. Say external confirmation request means a request by the auditor which is sent to the third party. Now it can be a positive confirmation request or negative confirmation request. It remains a external confirmation request. When the auditor sends positive confirmation request, he asks the confirming party to confirm the information whether he disagrees with it or not. And in negative confirmation request, he asks the confirming party to respond only when he disagrees. Okay. So confirmation request can be of two types. So confirmation request is a broad term. It can be of two types: positive confirmation request or negative confirmation requests. Okay. And external confirmation by itself, it is a response which is received directly by the auditor. It is a piece of audit evidence. No, Sanatan, yes, you are saying why CA Jignesh approach is wrong because he uses direct assistance of internal auditor. But it is not allowed under SA 505. And you have read in SA 610 that he would not use the internal auditor for direct assistance in works carrying more judgment. So, like to whom uh, the external confirmation request is to be sent? Would it be decided by internal auditor or external auditor? So the external auditor may decide or may not decide to send external confirmation request to some trade receivables depending upon the risk of material misstatement. Yes, Sanatan Biswas, is it clear to you? Yes, Sanatan, please confirm whether it is clear to you. See, Tejaswin, the 20% thing, essay standard on auditing doesn't define such things in percentage terms. Now, these things, 20% of shareholding, these are defined in, maybe defined in respective laws, like in Companies Act or like in Income Tax Act. Okay, so essays do not define, essays state the things generally, because they deal with the responsibilities of auditor. They are not the laws. Okay. Yes. See, test your understanding 9. Yes. Anyone? Test your understanding 9. Yes. Vaishnavi, yes, you are writing correctly. See, in this case, the request of CFO is justifiable because you have understood in SA 505 that first auditor shall inquire into the reasonableness and validity of request, management's request. Say if the management is requesting, look, there is a reason, they are showing you some document that the matter is in court and now we are moving toward out of court settlement. If you send external confirmation request, then the payment which is likely to come from that party, it may get spoiled. So these are genuine reasons. Okay. So we have considered this. Yes, Tambeshwari. First, you have to inquire the reason and validity. So if the reason is, you have to state that reason is justifiable. So students, we shall be doing the leftover topics of this chapter and some descriptive questions how you have to write in the exams in our next lecture on this chapter on 29th of October. So I know that most of you would be probably busy in your Diwali festival celebrations. So that's okay. But do not miss out the session on 29th October because we would be making a recap of all the essays contained in chapter 4 and we shall be also discussing how to answer descriptive questions in your auditing paper and we shall also be doing some MCQs along with few topics uh, which have not been covered till now of this chapter. Okay, so till then, goodbye. Have a good time. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yes, Aya, session over.